News Radio 700 WLW.
See, Rock, I'm jealous of people still working from home. There's a lot of them out there still. You might be sitting at your desk right now listening to us, at your home desk. But now people are, bosses are pushing back. How about, what's that? If you work from home, if you work in a different place, they're suggesting that maybe, you don't deserve as much money.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And I guess their side of the argument is, okay, look, we have our headquarters usually in a large city. The cost of living, the taxes are much higher down in the city. But if you now live way out in the suburbs or even in a different total state where the cost of living is low, you don't deserve as much money, which to me, I always thought like you worked and it was about, how well do I do my job? And that declares my compensation. But I don't know if I have a friend in New York who's kind of going through this sort of thing. They work at Google. And I guess the case is made, well, part of your salary was, like kind of cost of living, like travel expense and driving to work, that kind of thing. And they're like, wait a minute, that was never mentioned at all. So it's kind of crazy that folks could be in a situation where, okay, great, I'm working from home. I'm still got the same job. My productivity is still the same. But companies are now saying, well, since you're not coming in, we don't have to pay as much.
You know what? Let's talk to our workplace expert about it, Joel Patterson. Joel, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
So Joel, let me, I'll start right out. Is that kind of thinking fair?
Well, I guess it depends on the side of the aisle that you're on. I mean, I could look at it from an employer's perspective and say, well, I did pay you for one thing, and you're supposed to be in the office every single day, and there's value in being able to see you every day, and now all of a sudden you're not going to anymore. That's kind of outside the realm of the agreement that we had. But then the employer, just like you guys were just talking about, or the employee, I totally get why I'd want to stay home. If I'm in the mode of wanting to stay home, I don't feel like I should take a pay cut simply because of my geography and not because of the work that I'm actually performing. I mean, everything that you see about performance reviews, always based on objectives and outcomes, not on where you actually live. So it's an interesting situation. And just so you know, that the way that this thing got started is they got some pictures. I don't know how Google actually manages or what tool they use for their internal salary calculator, but they got some pictures of that. And that's what created some of these examples. So somebody that lives in San Francisco apparently wants to move to Tahoe, they got to take a 25% pay cut. That's a big deal.
Right. Wow. Which to me is different. I understand if you got an employee, or say you're an employer and you say, look, we need you to come back to the office at least 3 days a week. And the guy says, no, I'm going to stay at home. I understand saying, okay, well, you're not here. You can't participate in the meetings, and the team aspect is lost. Things aren't as good, remote as in person. I can maybe understand that and them wanting to get employees back because they know it'll be beneficial to the team. But just saying, hey, you do all the same stuff, but because you live in a area of town or a state where the cost of living is lower, we're going to cut your pay. That's a whole different ballgame to me.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of theoretical at this point. I'm not sure how much they've actually been able to execute on it. And the reality is, right now, the name of the game in business is recruiting and retaining quality people. And anything that takes away from that is going to be looked at pretty closely, I think. And, it's tough to recruit now with vaccination requirements, all these other things. With trying to reduce pay in the midst of all of this that's happening, I see Google backing away from it fairly soon. And maybe I'll be wrong and other people will jump on board, but this makes it too difficult to find really good people.
Well, don't you think, Joel, that here in the very near future, if not, now, that a lot of the younger people going in, the quality younger people going in for decent jobs with the chance for growth, are coming in, and maybe that might be in their top 2 or 3 things. Hey, can I work remotely if I need to or want to?
Well, yeah, that's already happening. There's a lot of people that absolutely want to take advantage of this new kind of setup in the workplace, and they're all in on it. I've had that happen in our business and my clients' businesses, and some people are okay with it, some not. It really depends on the type of business that you're in. But the flip side of that is there's just as many people, they want to get back to the office and develop some new relationships and just reconnect with their colleagues. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution here, and it's not going to be probably in the foreseeable future.
I do feel, though, for companies that want to get back to normal and know that the productivity isn't as high. I always say this. I think a lot of people think they can work from home, but really they can't, because they need the structure of an office setting. But I mean, like, for instance, I have a buddy who works for a major national company, and they're on a conference call, and there's a pretty higher level up guy goes to the boss and says, "Hey, they're trying to get him back to work. Hey, we're opening back the offices, come back to work because this is going to help everything out here." And he says, "Well, I kind of my dog got used to me being at home, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to come in." And the guy's like, what are you talking about? But so there's a fine line between, hey, I'm good from working from home, or right, I'm okay, but it actually just kind of fits better into my lifestyle. Companies don't want to hear that. Companies want to hear, are you willing to do whatever it takes to do what's best for the company? And damn it, if that means coming in, you got to come in. I think those people who are willing to do that, and hey, yeah, I'll work from home, or I'll come in if you want me to, I think those people should be rewarded more than the people that have, oh, well, I got to work from home because you make up that they're scared of COVID or whatever it is.
Yeah, those are exactly the situations and the scenarios that companies have to really look at and decide what they want to do. Because, again, nobody's going to be able to tell you this is exactly how it's supposed to go, because everybody looks at this situation differently. Some people feel very justified in their views, no matter what somebody else thinks, and you're not going to change their mind. So the best thing to do is have a policy, whatever it's going to be clear about it, and most of all, communicate what happens if you're outside of that policy. But, when you pull back into lowering people's pay and really trying to drive home some kind of point around that, we all know Google can afford it. It's hard for me to understand what the value is in trying to push this at this time.
So, Joel, is this going to change anytime soon, or are we I always hate the phrase "the new normal," but I mean, because I always say the current normal. This looks like the new normal.
Yeah, I think for sure the hybrid model is not going anywhere for a lot of companies. Right. I don't see this everybody gets to work from home forever lasting much longer, honestly, because we were still sort of in the honeymoon period of how, what it was like when it was a huge change, and we all were wondering if the technology would work and everything else that goes along with that. But now it is kind of going back to the office and demonstrating to people that, hey, this was fun. We did work better, and we also liked it, right? It's not just about productivity. We're actually happier when we get to spend time together. So I think those things will really come to bear here soon. And what the new normal look, I don't know. Who knows? Delta, whatever it might be around the corner, hopefully we're within a few months of seeing the end.
All right, Joel. Thanks so much, buddy. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Take care.